Your Excellency, Ambassador Burns, respected Deputy Prime Minister Bitiki, respected Deputy Head of Mission Andreadi, respected Deputy Chief of Mission Berger, dear company representatives, dear guests, welcome to the first trade mission organized jointly by the American Chamber of Commerce in North Macedonia and the American Hellenic Chamber of Commerce. The Business Beyond Borders trade mission is the result of an intensive cooperation between the two AmChams and our mutual efforts to broaden bilateral relations, especially in terms of furthering trade relations and enhancing the economic potential that emerges from growing cooperation between the two business communities. Today, we hope to open the conversation on how the companies in both countries can benefit from the current potential for trade and doing business and explore the new investment opportunities, especially in the area of manufacturing. We believe that by advancing direct relations and networking, sharing of best practices and B2B matchmaking, we can increase the economic cooperation and strengthen mutual trust and support. When speaking about support, please allow me to extend both AmCham's gratitude to the US embassies in Skopje and Athens, Ambassador Burns and her team, for inspiring us to become examples on how we can build successful partnerships. We would also like to thank Deputy Prime Minister Bitiki for supporting our initiative from the very beginning, as well as the Embassy of the Hellenic Republic to North Macedonia for their efforts to make this trade mission a success. We thank all 40-plus companies that are part of this trade mission, and we hope the companies that are following us via the stream broadcasted on both AmCham websites will join us in person when we meet next. We are confident that great opportunities will emerge from this enhanced cooperation and look forward to many other joint activities. Now, allow me to invite the President of AmCham in North Macedonia, Mr. Dragan Davidkov, and the President of AmCham in Greece, Mr. Nikolaos Bakatselos, to address you. Mr. Davidkov, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Elena. Respectful guests, dear friends, building sustainable partnerships and opening new opportunities for business cooperation is one of the main purposes of the AmCham organization worldwide. AmCham's purpose is to support the building of a better economic ecosystem in our country. We have made it also one of the main priorities of AmCham in North Macedonia. For 22 years, AmCham in North Macedonia has demonstrated to be valuable assets for a variety of companies and industries, aligning its agenda with members' goals, ideas and needs toward achievement of their growth and potentials. Today is a historic moment for all of us in this room. For the very first time, we are here in Skopje, AmCham in North Macedonia, and American Hellenic Chamber of Commerce in Greece to share our knowledge and experience and to build and establish stronger professional and business connections. We are fostering also friendships. All of this was felt and experienced during our visit in September last year in Thessaloniki, when we attended the Southeastern Energy Forum. This is one thing for what I'm particularly grateful to AmCham in Greece, and I hope that we will provide the same level of satisfaction, productivity, and hospitality. The trade mission Businesses Beyond Borders is also in the spirit of the AmCham network around Europe. It means that we exist in order to facilitate business-to-business contacts, assist our members in the process of acquiring customer referrals, business contact, bringing additional credibility to our businesses, increase companies' visibility, create networking opportunities, and stand behind your needs through guiding a voice of the government. Bridges over economies in the Balkan is of immense importance, as it is opening new perspectives of opportunities that will bring overall prospect for both parties. Cooperation among neighboring countries is crucial, especially in these uncertain times, burdened with volatility in every possible sense. By offering a hand to each other, we trace a path for better tomorrow for everyone. This becomes even more relevant if achieving through the cooperation of the business sector. Chambers are the best ambassadors of the business interests. We all speak the same language. Our common language first means reunion, understanding, inclusion, support and care that will keep us on the path toward joining action for achieving our common values. The fact that we are neighboring countries opens a wide variety of opportunities. Admittance to resources, sharing know-how, sharing of experience, FDIs, but at the same time, and also equally important, support building on access of the value chain of both countries, empowering businesses while providing opportunities to identify growth is challenging in time of crisis, but we must keep on working together towards achieving of competitive, supportive, and inclusive economy in North Macedonia and Greece. I'm confident there is a huge enthusiasm in this room today, where we as professionals and the companies we are representing share the same values, ideas, and beliefs for better prosperity and better future of our region. In many situations, we have witnessed the resilience of our economies, but with joint efforts, we surely can minimize risk while moving faster forward, joining the modern and digitalized international economy. By joining the forces, we can achieve better competitiveness and recover faster from the effect of the crisis. By creating a business-friendly environment and by striving to enhance international cooperation, we work on crucial matters that will enhance the business climate and ensure steady growth. The path is not easy, but it's important to continually make progress as it's fundamental to achieve economic prosperity. Investments are good when they are smartly made, as in that way, a free market competition will be appealing to businesses and further attract investments. AmCham is in North Macedonia as one of the essential connective tissue across the borders will encourage businesses in North Macedonia to expand their operations internationally and become part of the Greek value and supply chains. Partnership, friendship, and cooperation among governments and businesses is of great importance in order this to be achieved. Consequently, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to all the representatives of the private sector, the government, the US Embassy that are here to support the development of business relationship toward better tomorrow. I would like to emphasize once again that this is the first official visit of AmCham Greece to our country and foremost organized visit of the Greek business sector to North Macedonia in a long time. It is our great honor to host such a memorable event, trade mission that assists in the process of doing businesses beyond the borders. This is just the beginning of a stable and sustainable cooperation between the business sector of two countries and two AmChams, with tendency to increase bilateral trade among the two economies and beyond. Intensified cooperation between AmCham North Macedonia and American Hellenic Chamber of Commerce in Greece will continue. This is only the first trade mission and not to be the last. I personally believe that sustainable businesses goes together with personal friendships. I hope that many new friendships will be established in the following 2 days and that we are all going to enjoy the working session, but also the informal part of the agenda that will be in support to building businesses, building trust, and of course building friendships. I thank you for the attention, and I would like to invite my dear colleague and friend from AmCham Greece, Mr. Nikolaos Bakatelos, for his welcoming remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dragan. Dear Deputy Prime Minister, dear Ambassador, dear President, dear friend Dragan, ladies and gentlemen, representatives of the Greek government, DCM, Berger. I'm delighted that we're finally here after several postponements, making good on the promises made from both sides. I'm sure that Ambassador Pais, as well as Ambassador Burns, are satisfied by this, which is happening here, the seed that they planted a long time ago. Furthermore, I hope that, as you said, Dragan, this is the first of many such interactions that will build the ties between our two chambers and our member companies. This mission is very meaningful for us at the American Chamber of Commerce in Greece for a couple of reasons. It signals the return to normality as it kicks off our plan to strengthen the bonds between our two AmChams and put emphasis on the role that they can play in bringing American, and not only, businesses together across borders. It is also important as it underlines all the reasons why our two countries should cooperate, for mutual benefit, but also for the benefit of the whole region. We don't have the luxury of not doing so, particularly in this troublesome period, which is accentuated by what is happening further to the east. Speaking of strengthening our relations, I think that there's tremendous room for growth, particularly as North Macedonia opens up its economy and more investments are poised to come. The recently enacted Strategic Investments Law has already attracted the interest of important investors from Greece, for example, Mytilineos Group, and I expect that more investments will follow. Out of a total foreign direct investment in 2020, which stands at 549 million, Greece is steadily the third after Austria and the UK, and we can and we should increase that. Greek investments are focused on energy, construction, retail, and finance. But I think that by just looking at the profile of the companies participating in this mission, there's much potential in other areas of business as well. In so doing, we should bear in mind that North Macedonia is not just an important market for Greece, especially northern Greece, but also the gateway of Greece to the markets of Central and Northern Europe. The gas interconnector pipeline and the upgrade of the existing oil pipeline between Greece and North Macedonia will create further opportunities and can render North Macedonia a fuel distribution hub for the Western Balkans. Likewise, Greece, especially Northern Greece, is an important neighbor to North Macedonia due to its stability, EU membership, and the Thessaloniki port, which greatly facilitates the North Macedonia external commerce. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to be brief in my opening remarks, so after stating the facts, I would like to thank all who have been instrumental in making this mission a reality. AmCham Macedonia, and especially Yelena, for all the fantastic work she's done in preparing the visit. Nikos Tsavaroglu, of our Thessaloniki office, of course the two American embassies in Athens and in Skopje, the two governments, Greek and North Macedonia, and last but definitely not least, all the participants from both sides. Thank you so much for being here and making this, I think, a huge success, the first success, many that will follow. Thank you so much. Back to you, Brad.
Mr. Davidkov, Mr. Vakatselos, thank you very much for your kind words. We really look forward to all the things that are happening. Now, I would like to invite Her Excellency, the US Ambassador to North Macedonia, Ms. Kate Marie Burns, to address you. Madam Ambassador, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Yelena. And hello, everybody. I am so very pleased that this long-awaited and important event has finally come together. And I'm proud of the fact that the United States, through its embassies in Skopje and in Athens, has been a part of making this happen in partnership with the American Chamber here in North Macedonia and the American Hellenic Chamber of Commerce. To our Greek friends, welcome. It is really wonderful to have you here. To the Deputy Prime Minister, your presence is a clear indication of your government's commitment to regional cooperation, and the benefits of this regional cooperation are both broad and deep, touching not only the business sector, but also the citizens of this incredibly vibrant region. Thank you for all of your support. The fact that this trade mission is happening is truly remarkable, and as I just said a few minutes ago outside, 5 or 6 years ago, it was almost unimaginable. But that said, here we are today. Just this morning, Greek Foreign Minister Dendias hosted a working breakfast for North Macedonia on the sidelines of the EU Foreign Affairs Council. And I can say, with the perspective of having served in both Athens and now in Skopje, that this event is a testament to the remarkable progress in the bilateral relationship between North Macedonia and Greece that your governments and your people have built in the post-PRESPA era. The PRESPA agreement open the door for a brighter future characterized by regional security, stability, and prosperity. And as a partner in the region, a NATO ally, the United States has a vested interest in seeing this relationship succeed. This trade delegation is an important piece of that success. There has been real progress in energy, infrastructure, trade, and investment, and our three countries are stronger together. My colleague in Athens, Ambassador Pyatt, my dear friend, has often been quoted as saying that the United States views Greece as a driver of stability in the region. Well, I can tell you that that same sentiment applies here in North Macedonia, because the United States also views this country as an important driver of stability in the region. This is a multi-ethnic democracy, the newest NATO member, and an EU aspirant. The crossroads of corridors 8 and 10 lie less than 20 kilometers from where we now sit. North Macedonia is well positioned to be at the heart of trade in the Balkans. This is a country of opportunity. And as a region, the Balkans is the fastest growing economy in Europe. Building a true regional market in Southeast Europe will draw further interest from American industry, which is leading the movement to diversify global supply chains. The United States is committed to supporting your efforts to strengthen regional cooperation. Deeper economic integration is indispensable for sustainable growth. There are vast opportunities for U.S. businesses, and we continue to encourage all Balkan countries to strengthen rule of law, fight corruption, and increase transparency to expand investment opportunities. The reforms involved will further increase prosperity, allowing for sustainable investments in clean energy, and stem the brain drain by creating well-paying jobs. They will also reduce politically driven investment from outside actors and build the foundations for good neighborly relations and stable governance. Why does this matter? Well, prosperity is a worthy goal in and of itself, but there's more to this. Today, you are in the pursuit of joint prosperity for citizens of both of your countries, and that is key. We have stark examples in the world today of the choices before us. On the one hand, we can see the European Union as a success story created by former rivals, devastated by 2 world wars. They eventually laid aside their grievances and chose economic cooperation. Their citizens and the world are clearly better for those bold decisions. Once bitter enemies have become allies and partners, whose citizens are free to live and prosper in peace. North Macedonia is on the doorstep of becoming a formal part of that success story, a threshold we hope to see this country cross very soon. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is a brutal contrast, an appalling display of what happens when one side thinks it has more to gain by fighting than by trading. The people of both countries are now caught up in catastrophe, in a human tragedy on a massive scale. Yet here we are in the Balkans, with many paths and choices before us. The region's own history is a not-so-distant reminder of the stakes. That's why your work here today matters. Economic collaboration, shared growth, and joint prosperity. These are paths to stability and to goodwill. You are investing in more than a business or community. You are investing in the foundation for peace for tomorrow. Thank you for that. Thank you for your efforts. Efaristo poli, blagodaram. And I wish you very productive discussions over the next 2 days and in the many more to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Burns, for your address. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, His Excellency Ambassador Kundros sent his regrets. He cannot attend, but has fully authorized Deputy Head of Mission of the Embassy of the Hellenic Republic to North Macedonia, Ms. Andreadi, to present on his behalf. Ms. Andreadi, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, please don't see this tag. I am not the ambassador, although I would love to be, being the deputy. But I'm not there yet. My name is Gina Andriadi. I'm the deputy head of mission. Just very briefly to present my team our commercial attachés, Ms. Zografu, Ms. Xidia, and Mr. Gatzaras are here with us. You can ask them whatever questions you may wish after this gathering. I would like to, first of all, thank very much Ambassador Burns for her introduction. I don't think anybody could have said it better. As she said, our Minister for Foreign Affairs today hosted a breakfast for Foreign Minister Osmani. We had the visit of our Deputy Foreign Minister about a month ago. He met with the Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Bitiki. They had a very fruitful exchange of ideas on how to promote economic development and economic cooperation between our North Macedonia and Greece. These visits and these exchanges are very, very important from a political point of view, but also from a people-to-people approach, which we want to enhance, and we hope that we can do that with all your help. Politics and economics go hand in hand, as you know, many times. Let me just now read out what it was meant to be read, and give also my regrets from my ambassador's part, because he really wanted to be here with you, and he hopes that next time he will be present if this time happens fast. Therefore, let me just start by saying that this trade mission happens at a very opportune time and is commendable for 3 reasons. First, it creates a conducive environment for closer bilateral economic ties between Greece and North Macedonia. Second, because it boosts the beginning of an important trilateral cooperation in business, trade, and investment between North Macedonia, Greece, and the US. And third, because it highlights the strong will of our countries to follow the road of democracy, stability, free enterprise, and fair competition, as well as peaceful cooperation for the benefit and prosperity of our peoples and the region. The pandemic, the ensuing energy and economic crisis, and the geopolitical changes that are happening with the Russian invasion in Ukraine show that most challenges don't stop at national borders, and mutual cooperation and collective action are the only way to address them. In this sense, Greece's diplomatic actions have always been based on full respect for the territorial integrity of all states, in accordance with the United Nations Charter and the basic principles and tenets of international and humanitarian law. To this end, we are fully aligned with our allies and partners in NATO and the European Union into preserving these fundamental principles and values, which serve as the basis for sustainable peace and stability, and ultimately allow for economic prosperity, growth, and development. We also fully support regional cooperation in the Western Balkans as a means to bring neighboring countries closer together, connect economies, create synergies at all levels, and build a sustainable, knowledge-based economy and more resilient societies. The bilateral ties between Greece and North Macedonia are strong at both political and economic level, and the PRESPA agreement has been instrumental in this respect. It has also been instrumental for North Macedonia's integration into the Euro-Atlantic structures, and today more than ever, we can see the benefits of its participation to NATO and its alignment with the positions of the EU, which we fully acknowledge and support. The PRESPA agreement is the framework and the roadmap to solidify good neighborly relations, promote mutual trust, and strengthen the business ties between Greece and North Macedonia. This is why its full implementation is very important, and we are confident that we can keep working together with our friend and partner, North Macedonia, towards this end. We hope that this will allow for unleashing the creativeness, innovation, and digital capacities of the younger generations, especially bilaterally and in the region. In this respect, we look forward to promoting regional cooperation, strengthening connectivity, and sharing the common goal for prosperity. We also aspire to explore common projects across the board that ultimately bring together business communities with significant added value who utilizing EU instruments and tools at national, regional, or local level. Greece maintains a robust economic presence in North Macedonia, but also in the Balkan region, ranking in the first places among all trade partners and foreign direct investors. I think that Mr. Bakatsello said it quite eloquently. Greek entrepreneurs in North Macedonia are contributing to job creation in the country by employing more than 6,000 employees by a total of 245 companies of Greek interests. The Greek private sector has been active, investing in several sectors, including construction, energy, infrastructure, banking, logistics, food and beverage, etc. And as Mr. Bakatsello said, there is still a lot of room for improvement and more sectors to be added if there is will. And when there is a will, as we know, there is a way. Let me just say a few notable Greek investments here, which are placed among the 200 largest enterprises in North Macedonia for 2020, include Okta, Stopanska Bank, Veropoulos, EDS, Doiran Steel, USGE, Pivara, Mermeren, and Zitolux. Bilateral trade and foreign direct investments are expected to be further stimulated also by the conclusion of the avoidance of double taxation agreement, for which competent authorities from both sides are currently working on, and they're in the final talks. When it comes to, that was about trade and investments. When it comes to energy and environment, that's a very strategic sector given also the circumstances and that we're living in right now. The diversification of the supply routes, the energy security, as Ambassador Burns said, are very, very important. We need to re-examine them, and we need to find alternative sources of energy. Renewables are key. We must take our endeavors in this sense to the next level very fast. And we need research. We need energy transition as fast as possible. So joint projects and transfer of know-how in the field of renewable energy sources and clean energy projects are strongly supported by the Greek government under the terms of the Recovery and Resilience Plan, which is intended to allocate funds to that direction. We're seeking energy diversification, as you know, including all LNG options. We are following closely the developments regarding the floating storage and regasification unit in Alexandroupolis. We're looking forward to closely cooperating with all the countries in the region on this project. Of course, having said that, the reopening of the existing pipeline for refined oil products, which connects North Macedonia and the port of Thessaloniki, is also important, and we support it. The electricity transmission interconnectors are being developed in North Macedonia, and preparatory activities for the upgrade of the existing Meliti-Bitola line with Greece are underway. As regards waste management, Greek companies have developed innovative approaches to a cleaner and sustainable recycling system according to EU standards and legislation, and we look forward to further exploring that with partners here in North Macedonia. And last but not least, in the transport sector, the Pan-European Corridor 10, the rail connection from Piraeus to Thessaloniki to Skopje to Belgrade, and from there to Central Europe is of particular importance and interest to Greece. We also strongly support the extension of the Trans-European Transport Network, the TEN-T, to our neighboring countries, and the development of vertical axis as well, which starts or ends in the strategic ports of our country. And last but not least, upgrading and modernization of control infrastructure and systems, security systems, facilitation systems for custom services, etc., and the border stations of Evzoni and Niki, with the aim of facilitating the transport of people and goods, are also among our aims and our fields and sectors of cooperation with the authorities of North Macedonia. I just gave you not very brief, but still an overview of the main points that, and the main sectors that we are working on. And we hope that your B2B meetings will be able to further explore and discuss these sectors. And we look forward to seeing you, all of you again, together. This is something that we aim at, we very much welcome, and we're very proud that this is happening, and you have our full support, whatever you may need, in the months and years to come, so that this cooperation is further solidified. Thank you very much.
Yelena, I think Ms. Andreadi just gave us a target to come back quickly.
Yes. Thank you for that, and thank you for coming on such a short notice and being so prepared. So this is very important. Now, it gives me great pleasure to announce our keynote speaker, Deputy Prime Minister Bitiki, who has, as I said, supported us from the very beginning in this endeavor that we undertook some months ago. So we look forward to his address. Deputy Prime Minister, please take the floor.
Thank you, Yelena. Dear Ambassador Burns, respected excellencies, dear guests from Greece, respected representatives from the business sector, dear colleagues, I have several colleagues here from my cabinet, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, very hard work to be done. I can do quite a lot, but not address among friends. And even though they prepared me quite well, I said that I have to tell something personal. And that's that, to be frank, I would never thought that as an alumni of IVLP, which is a program of US embassies, sometimes I would have the chance and be of such a luck like I am today, to be among friends, sit among friends and be grateful that I see so many friends in one room. So thanks, Ms. Ambassador, first for letting me or having the chance of being a member of IVLP program for small and business development back 10 years ago. And secondly, making this possible, both American Chambers of Commerce on both sides. Today, it really brings me such joy to see what a constructive and open dialogue can do. First, it led to the PRESPA agreement a few years ago, and today it brings all of us together on this trade mission. That's the power, as I say, of openness and mutual respect. It can only bring prospect and mutual growth. So, huge thanks and congratulations to the American Chambers of Commerce of both countries for organizing this first trade mission and for creating the space where we can talk about the opportunities and potential for investment in our country, but as well share ideas of how we can grow together as a region. Thank you for being the ambassadors and spreading the good word of mouth about the potential of investing in North Macedonia, as well as outlining our achievements, projects, and future plans in both public and private sector. In the past years, we are witnessing the full potential of friendship and how it can benefit everyone when good intentions and understanding are put together before disagreements. And I think that's something to be spread on. While we are seeing growth in the economic cooperation between the two countries, I believe that is so much potential to be explored, and I hope today we will open doors for sharing ideas, possibilities for investment, talking about regional cooperation, value chain in our region. This government, the government of North Macedonia, sees the business sector and investors in our country as a partner. We build strong and honest relations, and that brings results. A few years ago, we raised the differences between domestic and foreign companies, and all companies operating in our country receive the same opportunities, because we thought that this is something to be done and provide an equal opportunities for all. To apply for and to receive state aid is a process which is completely open and transparent. Each company, each stakeholder is aware in advance of the support they can expect when making an investment. This creates predictability and stability for doing business in our country, and most importantly, it creates a good business climate for investors, which pushes our boundaries and puts North Macedonia on the map of the countries with the most attractive environment for investors. We are focused on reshaping our economy through bringing higher paid jobs and production of higher value added products by supporting 50% of total investment costs for research and development centers of the companies on the top of 50% on their general investment in the manufacturing or production lines. It means 50% of the total investment refunded from the government. The packages of support include 10 years tax exemption on corporate and personal income tax. On the cash grant side, actually we provide around 20% of refund of the capital investment as well as grant for each job created. But even from my cabinet will present in detail about the support we offer through state aid programs for investors, and of course we are open for discussion later on. Before the pandemics, we have outlined the so-called law on strategic investments that regulates the criteria, conditions, and procedure for applying, determination of status, selection, preparation, and implementation of the investment projects of the highest strategic priority for the country, or so-called strategic investment projects. This law was aimed and still aimed to enable an environment for big investments in our country based on the principle of free movement of goods, services, and capital, free competition and equal treatment, non-discrimination and transparency. Therefore, today with me is Mr. Igor Bimbilovski, the guy there, from the cabinet of Prime Minister Kovacevski, and we are open to go into more detail about the law in the discussion that follows. The government of the Republic of North Macedonia has all its intentions focused on integration and building partnerships. We are an official NATO members and dedicated to our integration in the European Union. While working towards this goal, we are constantly improving our domestic regulations and policies to be prepared and meet the European standards and to enable good business climate in our country, as we are working towards strengthening our domestic economy so that once EU doors will be opened, our economy to be competitive and prepared. Being on the doorsteps of the European Union, we offer a unique opportunity for market placing as well as strong supply chain that can be spread through the Western Balkans. My hope and vision for our region in this post-COVID period lies in capitalizing on the full potential of nearshoring that has shown to be a necessity that surfaced in the face of the pandemics, when the far-reached international suppliers have failed to deliver what had become obvious more than ever in the opportunity that lies in the regional value chains that can generate economic stability and growth for all of us. Thank you, Evkaristopoli, Blagodaram, Eufalimderit, again for being here today. Together we can create a vision and make a prosperous and sustainable future for our region and our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister, and great thank you for being open to conversation, to open discussion, and we look forward to the Q&A session after Ivan's presentation. Now, as a wrap-up of this first part of today's forum, I would like to invite Deputy Chief of Mission, Mr. David Berger from the U.S. Embassy in Athens. Mr. Berger, please welcome.
Thank you very much, and I acknowledge my position as the last of a long list of speakers between you and your coffee break. So I'll be relatively short, but it's a real pleasure to be back here in Skopje for the first time for me in about 10 years. A few of you may know that I actually served previously at the American Embassy here. I actually moved from the old embassy on Ilandenska into the new building. So it's a great pleasure to be here again and to see all the changes in Skopje. I want to thank, of course, my friends Nicholas and Elias for inviting me to accompany AmCham for this trade mission, and thank you, of course, to AmCham North Macedonia, and, of course, Ambassador Burns for hosting us. We're all very happy to travel again, to be here in person, no screens, no virtual. Feels like the good old days again. I'd be remiss, though, if I did not mention the somber background of our event today. As Ambassador Burns and other speakers have noted, Russia's unprovoked, bloody invasion of Ukraine has reminded us that a Europe whole, free, and at peace is hard-won and, alas, not yet fully achieved. It's a reminder of how important it is for us as democracies to support one another and defend the shared values that unite us. We're committed to working jointly with all of our democratic allies and partners around the world, and with our NATO allies especially. We unfailingly will protect every inch of NATO territory. I'm proud to say that that territory now includes the territory of North Macedonia, which was not the case when I served here previously. In the midst of this current crisis, I'm gratified that we have a chance to come together and continue building not only the Greece-North Macedonia relationship, but also the chamber-to-chamber relationship. The significance of AmCham's network in fostering interregional business synergies is of paramount importance and cannot be emphasized enough. Trade and economic relations are critical to the stabilization and prosperity of the entire region, not just these two nations. AmCham Greece is celebrating its 90th anniversary this year with a very apt theme, broadening horizons. Today in Skopje, we're continuing to do just that, and I believe both chambers have paved a fortuitous path forward as we navigate this critical time in history. Despite the challenges the pandemic has presented, American investment continues to flourish in Greece, while U.S.-Greece relations have reached an historic peak, politically, economically, and militarily. Over the past year, we've seen multiple American companies establishing solid and lasting presence in the Greek marketplace. Microsoft's data center hub is continuing as planned with a value of hundreds of millions of dollars. JP Morgan's acquisition of Viva Wallet is a huge vote of confidence in the region's ingenuity and potential for growth. Amazon Web Services opened its Athens office. Digital Realty acquired Lambda Helix, which is investing significantly as it triples its data center capacity. And Cisco launched its digital transformation and digital skills center in Thessaloniki. We also welcomed the further expansion of Pfizer's presence with the inauguration of its global centers for digital innovation and business operations and services, also in Thessaloniki. The facility is an incredible testament to the digital transformation underway in Greece. In the coming year, we look forward to even more American investments in major infrastructure projects across the country. We've also emphasized the role that Thessaloniki can play as a gateway to the Western Balkans. Companies that eye investments in Thessaloniki are in fact eyeing the greater region and the greater market. And we're doing our part to generate those links, for example, through events like the State Department-sponsored Tech Camp in last September in Thessaloniki. This event brought together over 30 young women entrepreneurs from across the region to develop their technical and business skills from Albania, Bulgaria, Croatia, Greece, Kosovo, Montenegro, North Macedonia, and Serbia. I look forward to seeing the exciting projects and startups these women will bring forth in the coming years. We celebrate our investor partnerships today and look forward to new synergies between the two chambers as we work to champion democratic ideals. March is Women's History Month, and I'd like to encourage all of us to make a special effort, as we have, for example, through the Tech Camp I mentioned, to find more ways that we can support opportunities for women in business across all sectors in both Greece and North Macedonia. We're especially looking forward to an event on March 30th that will bring together women in politics from both countries, hosted by Ambassadors Pyatt and Burns. It would be terrific to see similar cross-border efforts in business, technology, energy, and the other areas the Chambers support. I personally look forward to supporting even more American businesses coming to Greece and North Macedonia, expanding growth and opportunity in both countries. Ευχαριστώ πολύ, Blagodor Monogu, and Falamandershum.
Thank you, Mr. Berger. And now I would like to invite you to take a short break. I know that we are all looking forward to these in-person meetings, but I don't believe that we are so used to keeping at the same place sitting for a long time. So let's take a short break and come back in 10 minutes. Thank you. For returning after the tasty lunch, I believe. We can continue now. It gives me great pleasure to announce Mr. Ivan Andreevski, advisor to the Cabinet of Deputy Prime Minister Bitiki, who will present to us today the investment and business environment opportunities in North Macedonia. Ivan, Mr. Andreevski, please.
Thank you, Jelena. My name is Ivan Andreevski. I'm part of the cabinet of the Deputy Prime Minister Bitiki, more specifically in this sector for support of investors, both domestic and foreign investors. I'll make a short presentation about the investment and business environment and the investment opportunities in North Macedonia. So I will start with a brief overview just to provide an insight of how the economy in general is doing in North Macedonia in the past few years. So as you can see, the general economy, so the GDP growth in the country, one of the highest growth of GDP before the pandemic. Then of course the decline was due to the pandemic and the lockdown we had basically across the globe, but here as well. On the other side, the exports, steady growth in the exports, which is mainly driven by the foreign companies operating and manufacturing in North Macedonia. The budget deficit and the sovereign debt, again, one of the lowest in Europe. And then you can see, again, inflation pre-pandemic figures for the inflation. It was really low and stable, which provides some sort of certainty when it comes to investing in the country. And one other important piece of information is the foreign exchange risk. Basically, as a country, the local currency, the Macedonian denar, is fixed respect to the euro. So when trading with the countries from the eurozone, basically you have no FX trade risk at all. North Macedonia was ranked among the highest, or it was ranked among the best business environments in Europe and in the world. According to some of the most recognizable, you can see, financial institutions in the world. So we have the Doing Business report of the World Bank, then to Financial Times, CNN as well, and some of the big four companies when it comes to professional services, PwC and Ernst & Young. And more specifically on this Doing Business report, which was published by the World Bank, North Macedonia was ranked as number 10, so it was in top 10 countries in the world for the ease of doing business. And this report is quite comprehensive, covering all sorts of data and inputs on how easy it is to run and to establish and to operate a business in almost every country in the world. And you can see how it compares to some of the countries in Europe and as well in the region. Then we move to the operational costs for doing business, the wages and the taxes. The government in the past few years put some serious efforts on increasing the level of the wages by increasing the minimum wage and the average wage as well. And now we are at a level of around 660 euros, and this is the gross salary. So this is the all costs included, basically the cost to the employer. And while it is going up in the past few years, again, from a point of investor, from a point of a company, if you compare with the countries in the region, again, it's significantly lower. And again, from a point of investors, this is important because it creates a major advantage and major savings while doing operations in North Macedonia. And then you have the taxes, one of the lowest tax environments in the world. with a single corporate tax rate at 10%, and the same goes for the personal income tax, one of the lowest with 10% rate. The VAT is set at 18, and that's the highest rate. We have also some lower rates for the for some goods. And it's not only about the how low is, what is the cost of the labor, it's also about the availability of labor. And again, if you compare the countries in the region, you can see that North Macedonia has significantly higher unemployment rate, which means the availability of labor is higher. You can find some young people which are well educated and very well skilled, and they're available on the market still. The educational system is maybe, I'll be a bit biased, but it's quite good. When it comes to manufacturing, the manufacturing was historically present here in the country, and especially when it comes to the technical schools. The technical schools, which is an often question from the potential investors, they're well spread across the country, so you can find sufficient supply of technical expertise, both from the high schools and the universities. When it comes to trade, North Macedonia is a member of NATO as of 2020, and it's a candidate country for the European Union. And as it's such, it has a free trade agreement with the European Union, which is a huge market, of course. And then you have free trade agreements with the EFTA countries, the CEFTA countries, which is the regional organization for trading, and bilateral free trade agreements with Turkey and Ukraine. We have around 40, now it's around 40 bilateral agreements for investment protection, and around 50 agreements for the avoiding of the double taxation with various countries across the globe. Now this is the part which is probably the most interesting when it comes to potential investors. These are the free economic zones, or how we call them, the technological industrial development zones. So basically these are customs-free and tax-free zones. There are 15 of them since the establishment of this model some 20 years ago. And it's not only the capital of Skopje. As you can see, across the whole country, there are 15 zones. And what it means basically to be present in such a zone. This is an incentives package composed of both. So it's fiscal benefits, tax exemptions, and cash grants provided to the investors located in the free economic zones. The corporate income tax and the personal income tax is set at 0%, so basically a tax holiday of up to 10 years. You don't pay value-added tax, and you don't pay excise tax, and also you don't pay customs duties on the raw materials and the equipment imported in these zones. The land is available in almost all of these free economic zones, and it's a very symbolic price for rent. You cannot buy, but you can lease a land in the free economic zones for only 10 euro cents per square meter per year. And of course, you have some other cash benefits here in the free economic zones. So you will get a refund of 10% of all the capital investments, as well as cash grants, which start as 2,000 euros per employee, and it goes as high as 4,000 euros per employee. The other law which we introduced some 5 years ago, it was the loan financial support for investments in manufacturing. This is one slide which serves as a summary, basically. For all the 7 different programs we provide to the investors from the manufacturing sector. And it can be actually a company which operates in the trade or the transport sector or even the energy sector, but this incentives package applies only for the investment project specifically in manufacturing. And the support varies here. The main point is that by combining all these different programs, you can reach a refund back to your company up to 50%. So half of the investment could be refunded back to the company. And we have some more generic and some more specific programs here, starting from, let's say, 10% refund on all the capital investment, up to 5 million euros back to the companies. Then support for increase of the competitiveness and the exports of the companies. And then you have some more specific benefits when it comes to opening new jobs or cooperation with domestic suppliers or maybe acquisition of companies in financial difficulties. We have 3 main preconditions in order to qualify for these financial support programs. So as I mentioned, it must be a investment project in manufacturing. And then there are 2 more criteria, so about the revenues and the number of employees. It needs to be at least steady or for the company to grow in the last year comparing to the average in the past 3 fiscal years. In that case, you can apply and you can basically sign a contract with the government and start exploiting actually your investment project. The next 7 slides, I think in interest of time, I will skip, but these are about the details of each of this program. Maybe just briefly, the first one is about the creation of new jobs. So for the salaries which are higher than 50% than the minimum salary, each company can get for each employee basically 20% refund of the net salary for each employee. The second program is about the companies which are located in the free economic zones. These are most often foreign companies, multinational companies which are manufacturing and operating here in North Macedonia. So the idea here is to enhance actually the cooperation and to include the domestic suppliers in the value chains of the big global international companies. This is a very interesting program of support of specifically the investments in research and development. So all the investments made in R&D could be refunded by the state in the amount of 50% of the total expenses made for industrial research, up to 1 million euros over a period of 5 years. The fourth program is about these big investments, which are, as we call them, of significant economic interest of the country. And here we have qualification criteria. So it's either 4 million euros and 300 jobs created, or for the companies which are investing at least 15 million euros. In this case, you can receive a separate, a tailor-made package basically for each investor created out of 4 different incentives. The first 2 are fiscal benefits, and it covers the personal income tax and the corporate tax. So it's a tax holiday up to 10 years. And the third one and the fourth one are cash grants provided directly to the companies. So 10% refund on the all capital investment, up to 1 million euros, and the other one is the cash grant, which I mentioned before, for the employees which are getting salaries 50% higher than the minimum salary in that particular time. So by combining all these 4 support modes, you can reach 50% back to your company out of your investment. The 5th program is quite straightforward. Here we don't have any criteria, so everything which is investment in new machinery, in new equipment, or investments in land or facility, so building, constructing a new factory, for example, it will be refunded back to the companies in the amount of 10%. We have one specific program which is targeting the companies which are in financial difficulties. In this case, if a certain investor actually acquires a domestic company which is financial difficulties, in that case, it will receive a 10% refund on the actual transaction which was made in order to acquire the company. And the last program, again, is very similar to the program number 5 I've mentioned. So basically, this is a bonus program for additional 10% on all the capital investment just by meeting one additional criteria here in this case, and that is to increase the total revenues of the company for at least 5% in the last year compared to the past 3 years. And basically, the companies are receiving 20% refund on all the capital investments. Starting from last year, this is a new component of the law. We introduced additional, I would say, an additional measure, which is called balanced regional development. This means that apart from the most developed region, and that's the capital of Skopje and its region, all the other companies, all the other regions will receive additional support and will be calculated as a percentage of the difference between the GDP per capita of Skopje and that particular region. And this is a significant amount. It goes up to 60%, so as a bonus to what that particular company is about to receive as a state aid. We also have a very handy tool, this calculator, where you need to just put your investment parameters, and measure by measure, program by program, you can see for yourself how it will reflect actually in your contract, and then what type of and the amounts of the state aid you can receive back to your company. What the government is providing when it comes to investors is it's a quite comprehensive package of institutional support as well. So starting from the initial contact with the companies, which is either triggered by the government or by the potential investors, by the interested companies. We start from that point and we provide all the necessary analysis and the data which are required by the companies, and then we support them through the decision process and basically the part where they decide to invest in North Macedonia, and then even in the operational phase. So we have what we are calling it an aftercare program. So even for the companies which are already present here and operating in North Macedonia, we have a direct communication with all of them. And on these few slides, you can see some of the most significant or some of the largest companies which are present in North Macedonia, which basically have decided to establish some sort of operations. And it's not only manufacturing, as you can see, some of them are from the services sector, from the financial sector as well, insurance, the IT sector as well is growing in the past few years. And as I said, it's not only the capital of Skopje. These investments are spread across the country. So basically in all of these free economic zones, there are at least a few companies which are successfully operating. And you can see by the flags that these are very large multinational European and American companies as well. So thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them about this presentation.
Thank you, Ivan, for the presentation. Now I would like to invite all of our participants, if they have any questions related to Ivan's presentation, or they have any other questions that they would like to address. For those that do not have static microphones, just ask and you will be handed out a wireless microphone so you can ask your question. No questions? All right. There are no questions related to the presentation. Do you have maybe any questions that you would like to address to Deputy Prime Minister Bitiki or the other representatives from the government in different topics? Okay, then I will proceed with several of the, okay, I'm sorry.
May I ask something to the Deputy Prime Minister? Now, you know that on the Greek side there's a lot of interest in energy, and I think that we have a mutual investment in Alexandroupolis, and there's also the PPC hydroelectric plant, which is here in North Macedonia. Where do you see opportunities for mutual investment projects in North Macedonia?
From the private sector, in energy for sure. It's true that we actually decided as a government to be part of FSRU Alexandroupolis. But not only, but the cogenerative power plant, which is in Alexandroupolis as well, and plus book the capacity for the upcoming 15 years. So there are 3 different interventions that we are doing there. And everything related to energy diversification in our country might be a potential joint investment of the private sector. We have to understand the environment in which North Macedonia is, because till now, or let's say in last 15 years, the gas supply in our country was fully dependent of Gazprom. We do have, for the moment, only one gas stream, which is with neighboring Bulgaria, which is fully booked by Gazprom. No other operators might use the gas pipeline. At the moment, we are doing with energy community some attention actually to release certain potential for the gas pipeline, which is with Bulgaria, in order to be able to bring the gas in our country. But because of the gas limitation, actually everything which is related to gas was not so developed. So everything which is now related to gas, because of the gas pipeline with Greece and interconnector that we are building, and plus Alexandroupolis, might be interesting. That means co-generative plants in our country. That means even potentially looking ahead after 20 to 30 years when hydrogen will be the only energy to be used, there is a potential of and common interest on both sides, and we would be really glad to facilitate as a government that kind of potential. I would not say now or giving an idea, but the energy sector in our country is fully liberalized, even though we are not part of European Union. But that provides a wide opportunity for investment in solar energy, in wind turbines, in wind energy, plus other energy supply. According to our strategy on energetics, we have said that we will, by 2028 to 2030, we will decrease by 50% CO2 emissions. That means that the thermal power plants, at least 50% of the capacities will be transformed to gas, and further on to be discussed whether they might be used as hydrogen potentials for energy production. But if you ask me visionary, what might be something in which I would really like to see and keen to put myself fully, hydrogen production and green hydrogen as a potential for the Southeast Europe. Because we do have a huge potential, but not a demand for energy produced by solar. That might be a good base for investment in solar energy, which will be used for hydrogen production. But everything related to energy, I think it's something to be thought. The market itself, for the moment, it's small because it's not developed in general. So we have 65% of the energy produced in our country domestically, 35% is imported. That's sufficient as an indicator why we are putting so much efforts in energy.
Any other questions? No? Okay, then I will address the Deputy Prime Minister with one more question, which came previously. I'm sorry. Elias, I'm sorry.
Yes, it's all right. Deputy Minister Bdiki, can I ask you a question? What are the next procurement that your government is planning to put in place, since we have here several companies, but also as AmCham Greece, we can notify also companies, others, to participate in those. Is there any program in line for any kind of sector, not only energy, of course?
Greeks are full of questions, eh?
Yeah, quite a broad question. But yeah, the biggest procurement, I would say, intervention is the hydropower plan for Chebron, where actually we have a big consortium, Greek and French company operating together. That's procurement which has entered the second stage of the procurement. It's around 600 million euros. Generally speaking, for energy sector, we do not opt for big procurements, but rather than that we wait for the business community to come with the proposals, that together with our public enterprise on energy production, ECM, to enter into possible joint venture or public-private partnership with the government itself. Therefore, we don't put on the side. On the other hand, for example, we are preparing a big procurement on railway, Corridor 8, towards Bulgaria. We have procured the first and second phase, which is at the final stage of evaluation. The procurement has been concluded. The project there for the first and second phase is 150 million euro, but the third phase is approximate rough estimation 450 million euro, and that is among the top priorities for the government itself, because it actually together with the other political efforts that we are putting with Bulgaria, the improvement of the infrastructure towards Bulgaria and especially railway is something that we want to see. And that's from the, I would say, the biggest one. We are now looking for potential investment and funding for the railway Kičevo-Lin, which is the last part of Corridor 8, which will link our country with Albania. We haven't decided whether it will be a public procurement or whether we will go as we went with the highways. We had a decision as a government for the highway in Corridor 8 and Corridor 10D to go with a direct contract with Bechtel, the US company. That agreement has to be concluded in few months from now. So it's a direct agreement with Bechtel because we thought that would be more efficient way actually in concluding rather than going in a long procedures of procurement. But still we have put it quite a lot of efforts into, with the consultants actually, in deciding the price and the cost of the project itself in order to not be questions from the other parties.
I'm going to look very carefully now. Any other questions? In the interest of time, because I know that the Deputy Prime Minister needs to leave shortly, I'm going to ask just one more question which we received previously, and I think it's important to address, and it's related to the support that the government is giving and the focus not only on the TITS zone, but also on investment depending on the availability of location. So this is a question connected to energy, but I believe it applies to a different sector. Considering the energy strategy objective and the transition to green scenario on one hand, and the administrative procedures for obtaining permits, approval and licenses, could we expect that the government will facilitate all administrative procedures for investors, including procedures for the conversion and urbanization of the construction? Yes, of course. We have been discussing about this topic, I believe, before, and the support that actually the government is giving to.
Actually, the law on strategic investment, but not only, even the changes that we have done in serving and the all investments in our efforts to do a so-called one-stop shop is actually trying to facilitate and cut all the administrative burden for all investments, no matter of the sectors in which they are investing. For example, we introduced last year, or we cut it, the procedure for getting a state aid agreement from an average 8 to 10 months to 2.5 months. Because simply we know what means for the business sector every day spent without doing an investment. That's actually a potential loss that they're receiving. So the same applies for the investment in energy. Yeah, the government is there, and the team is actually to facilitate and cut the administrative burden wherever it is possible. So, for example, if we assume that a private investor comes with the acquisition of the land, agricultural land, from a private-owned land, not a state-owned land, but a private-owned land, it needs to be transferred from agriculture to infrastructure land, which is called E11. E111 normally takes up to 3 months to do that in regular terms. And we have had the case to cut it in 1.5 to 1 month, the procedure of the transformation. But then other preconditions are to be met, and that's the proximity to the energy grid and the potential of the grid to be used and things like that, which are actually things to be addressed prior that the investment is done. So if someone would ask, or now it's puzzled, I would say, about the potential investment, I say that the easiest way to answer to your question is this guy and that lady there, Katerina, you have to wave, to receive an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, with the government, in which actually after that we might start discussing about the numbers and discussing all the details, because I know that there are quite a lot of question marks during the way of doing the investment. So we have said that that's the right way and the right approach to do it. We start as you normally do in your business environment. You sign between your business partners and NDA. Now you might sign it with the government, start the procedure, and after that I think that the people involved in my cabinet, plus in some other, like Directorate for Technological Industrial Zones or the Agency for Support of Foreign Investments and Export, they might be of help for any kind of potential investment to be done in our country. I don't want to pretend neither to say that everything is 100% smooth, because in Balkans, in Southeast Europe, nothing is smooth. So there are some obstacles on the way, but therefore we are here actually to eliminate those kind of obstacles.
Thank you very much for that. I think that at this point we can wrap up the question. Yes?
Yeah, maybe just
okay, sorry.
Final thought also from my end. Mr. Betic mentioned Ivan and Katerina and the whole team of what the government is doing, but we are also all representative of certain companies working here and operating. So also feel free to use us, because we are a great word of mouth of everything what is actually happening here. So that's the purpose of this event also. We have the government, but we also have the business representatives. We are all coming from reputable companies, international one. So happy to support you with any questions you might have during today, tonight, tomorrow. We will be around, so use the opportunity of talking directly to the investors as well.
Thank you very much, Dragan. I think that we can wrap up this part of the presentation and the Q&A session. So now I would like to invite my dear colleague, Elias Pertunias, to give the closing remarks to this session and to wrap up things.
Thank you, Jelena. My role is to wrap up the session, which I hope it was very interesting for all of you. It's a great pleasure for us to be here in your beautiful city for the first trade mission, which we envision it will ignite a long-standing business relation between the members of our AmChams and not only. I want to thank first the North Macedonian AmCham for its excellent, remarkable hospitality and the organization of this forum. The members of the board, the president, the members of the board, the executive director, my counterpart and my dear friend Jelena. I also want to thank my counterpart Nikos at the office of the Hellenic. Of course, many thanks, many appreciation to our partners in both the EU Embassy, Ambassador Kate Burns, good to see you again, and also DCM David Berger, and of course Deputy Minister Bitiki and your government, which is very supportive, along with our government and the consulate, for this, let's say, getting together business endeavors. I think all the previous speakers have best outlined the potential for fostering business synergies between the two countries. This mission is a kickoff of a series of joint activities to facilitate the fulfillment of this goal. Next step, and we look forward to that, is to host a trade mission from North Macedonia at September to the Thessaloniki International Fair at Thessaloniki. See you again there. And continue to bring together, corporations for exploring opportunities. And that is actually the mission of AmCham, as actually just before David outlined here. Being part of the most dynamic global business association network of the world, we should take advantage of it and assist business communities to reach out each other. By enhancing trade and business relations, we believe that we contribute to setting a solid ground for, first of all, a better understanding, overpassing differences, and developing an environment of mutual prosperity and sustainable growth for all. In closing, I can assure you that both chambers are committed to that, and we pledge that we will continue our collaboration for a long time ahead. So thank you again, all of you, for participating in this mission, and I'll pass again the floor to my friend Elena.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this first trade mission. It is a great privilege to host you today, and the warmest thank you to all of our speakers. To wrap up, we can have a coffee as a follow-up to this discussion. And I would like to invite everyone to the dinner, which will take place at Park Hotel starting from 8 o'clock in the evening. So I hope to see you all there. Thank you very much, and see you soon, hopefully in Thessaloniki.